Hey everyone, today we're going to cover the button. Now, what is a button? A button is an object that can be clicked to fire an event. This could be anything from source code that's being called to an animation that is played. Literally anything. Almost anything. So let's go ahead and add a button. So let's go to our hierarchy, right click, same old UI, and we're going to add a button, which is under, I don't have TextMesh Pro in this project, so for me it's under Legacy. But if you have TextMesh Pro, you should see it right up here somewhere near the top. Okay, so it doesn't matter that I'm using the Legacy, they're both the exact same. The TextMesh Pro is just the text inside of it is a TextMesh Pro rather than a text. So I'm not going to cover the text because we've already covered it before in a previous video. Go check that one out if you want to learn about the text. But every button will come with a text or a TextMesh Pro, which displays what you want it to say. So I could say, click me, or something. Like, this is a button. So if we click it, I don't know why I'm so zoomed in, we can make it do something. So the actual button itself is what we're going to focus on. So under the button component, we're going to ignore the image, but you can set this as whatever image you'd like. The button component, we have interactable. Now this is a Boolean state which decides if the button can be clicked or not. So if we turn this on, if we keep this on and quickly hit play, you'll see whenever we click it, it sort of has a little fade there. Let me make the pressed color red or something, just so you can really tell we're clicking it. Whereas if we was to now disable that, maybe make this pressed color red again, you're going to see whenever we press it, nothing happens because the click me button is disabled. We can't interact with it. I'll leave that on for now because we don't really actually want that. It's no good having a button that you can't actually do anything with. Let's now have a look at the on click. We're going to skip transition because we've already covered this in a previous video. So on click, this is where you can fire events whenever the button's clicked. So if we click the add here, you'll see we can add something. We can add an object and then fire an event from that object. You got runtime only and editor and runtime. Editor and runtime allows you to test this technically without running the game, but obviously if you go to click the button now, it's just going to select it. So that only really works in certain scenarios. So now I'm going to show you a couple of example scripts because this is all the button is. The button is literally just scripting, really. I'm going to show you, the first script I'm going to show you is we're going to print button clicked whenever we click the button. And in the second script, I'll show you how to increase a number when the button's clicked. You can make this do anything. I'm just going to show you two example scripts so you can get an idea of how to call code. Of course, you can do any code you'd like. So I'm going to right click down in the assets and create a C# script, and I'll just call this button test. Okay, so when we open up this script here, we're going to get a bunch of stuff that comes in automatically. I know it's not a scripting tutorial, but I'll quickly cover things very briefly. Using Unity Engine, we want this. We also, if we want to access the button, we want to add using Unity Engine.ui. Now this is called a namespace. This Unity Engine.ui is a namespace. Unity Engine is a namespace. So when a button's clicked, what we need to do is we need to have something called a method. So let's clear all of this because we don't need any of it. Let's create a method. It needs to be a public method that we can call whenever the button's clicked. So we're going to create a public method, and we're not going to return anything. So we can call it a void because void means we're not returning, and we'll call it button clicked, like so. And then in here, what we can do is just print button clicked with a semicolon on the end. And now if we go back into Unity, we need to create an empty game object in our hierarchy and drag the button test on there, drag the script onto there because we can't call the script without it being on an object. So now we've got a game object with the script on. We can drag that game object into our little none object here on the on click in the button, drag that in there, and now we get something that says no function. If we click on this, we can go down to button test, which is the script, and you'll see a bunch of stuff here by default. What you're looking for is button clicked here. This is the public method we've just made. If you made it private, you won't see this. It has to be public. And you can select that. Now if we hit play, whenever we click this button, under our console, it's printing button clicked. Whenever we hit the button, which is great. Now I'm going to show you another script, if I reopen this, which increases a number whenever we click the button. So let's create, I'll keep that script down. I'll remove this print here, but I'll keep the button clicked. At the top, I want to create, it can be a private, I'm just going to create an integer called number of clicks. And this will be the number of times the button's been clicked. Now, by default, I want it to be 0, but that is what an integer is by default. If you don't give it a value, if you don't declare a value, it will just initialize it as 0. Now, under button clicked, we're going to say number of clicks plus plus. This is the exact same, by the way, as saying number of clicks plus equals 1, or number of clicks equals number of clicks plus 1. These are 3 ways of saying the exact same thing, but the plus plus just means add 1 to that variable, which is all we want to do. We only want to add 1. Now we can display this. So let's say print total times you have clicked the button. Let's put a code on it, and let's add our number of clicks. We need to convert this to a string, so we're going to do .toString with these little parentheses here, and hit save. Now this .toString just converts our integer to a string, because we can only print a string. You can't print an integer, you have to convert it to a string. It doesn't make sense to print an integer. Now if we go back, you'll see, is our button still assigned? Yes it is. Is that definitely saved? Yep. Cool. Now if we hit play, you're going to see when we, I didn't want to do that. When we click this, it says 1. Total times you've clicked the button, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and so on. And if I was just to click it really quickly, it will say I'll come off the button. 54. There you go, and it just tells you the number of times you click the button. So what you can do is in here you can literally put any code you want, any code, and whatever code you put in here will be ran whenever this button is clicked. And there you go, that is it for the button. It was really simple. The most of the button is just programming, because you need to make the button do something. Other than that, really dead easy, and not much more to cover. So this leaves me with 2 episodes left of the series after this. We have the drop down and the input field. We're going to cover the drop down in the next video, which shouldn't be too bad. Again, drop down isn't too complicated. It's a bit different to everything we've done so far, but really not that complicated. And the input field. The input field we're going to cover last, because there's quite a bit you could do with that, with scripting as well. And I do want to sort of cover as much as possible with that, because the input field is quite a big one. But that is it for the button. I hope you found it helpful. Please do leave a like and subscribe if you did find this video helpful. The more support we can get on these videos, the more I will be sort of inclined, or more I feel like a Unity C# course or series would be helpful. So just let me know what you think in the comments as well about a C# series. But yeah, other than that, I'll see you in the next video, everyone, and goodbye.